Welcome, everyone. It's the Mike Tech Show, show number 1001. Tonight, I'm going to talk about an accident I had, which is going to change the schedule going forward, and also stories from the trenches and listener email. First, let me describe what happened to me on Friday morning. Now, Thursday, I was just too busy. And that's why I figured, and I knew that was happening, so I figured, let's schedule the show for Saturday afternoon. Well, Friday, early in the morning, I would say about, 4 a.m., I get a cramp in my left leg, that was so painful, like a really bad Charlie horse in the leg, and I jump out of bed. And then I fell, and when I fell on my back, on my rear end, and that's what messed up the tailbone. So it was and has been one of the most painful experiences. So I already had a doctor's appointment Monday, and I didn't feel like going to a hospital or going anywhere. And I figured I would suck it up and, canceled the show Saturday. And, man, I was in bed all day Saturday, all day Sunday. It's bad. The pain is, the only thing is sucking down ibuprofen. And ice has been a big help. Ice has been my friend. I have this big ice pack that I keep folded up in the freezer for times like this, and just put a towel around it and lay that. Oh, that feels good. I'm in a difficult position recording the show. This is not comfortable, and I can't get a good cushion and position to sit. I did get x-rays on Monday when I went to the doctor, which was for a totally different reason. He said, you got to get x-rays, and my wife drove me and took me, and I went to get x-rays. Now, the good news on the x-ray is and it's funny, my doctor hasn't called me because I think yet back with the results, even though I got an email, and Tim asked, yes, I have a donut pillow, but that's not helping me. Right now, the flat one feels better, and that's what I'm sitting on right now. But I do have a nice donut pillow that I ordered. Going to try that in the car. I haven't attempted driving yet, but the tailbone is not fractured, thank God. But there is a problem that I couldn't interpret from the x-ray interpretation with my L4, L5, that something slipped there. So I got to figure out what's going on, but the tailbone is not fractured, but it's probably bruised, but it hurts. And so schedule going the next few weeks. Got to see what's going on. Just, keep checking out X and the MikeTechShow.com, and also Facebook, Mike Tech Show. And on X, it's Mike Tech Show. And for any schedule changes or updates, I'll try to get on Discord. This is a perfect time to get back on Discord for schedule. And things are going to change for September and October because I'm traveling to Florida, not this week, the following week. So a show's going to be on Saturday. Next week, it should be fine. The week after, it's going to be a Saturday, but I already know the week after that, there's not going to be a show. So then I got, what was I going to say? September and October, I got multiple surgical procedures that have nothing to do with the tailbone, and I don't know when they're scheduled yet. So schedule's going to be definitely changing, so stay tuned for that. And even tonight, I was going to start at 7:30, but let me tell you, I'm having trouble just doing what I'm doing right now. So here, what I'm going to do is let's get started. Sorry about that, but I figured you got to know what's going on. And thank God for my son, Mike Jr., picking up the slack for the things that I can't do, and taking care of business. I really appreciate it. Sometimes I just lay in bed and take care of clients on the phone or on my iPad. It's been very, very difficult to spend a significant amount of time sitting. That is very, very difficult. And getting up is the absolute worst. So that's where I got to take my time, and the pain is really bad, and I just got to suck it up. So I still have to have another conversation with the doctor. We definitely got to adjust, and I got to get something better than over the counter for pain. So let's see what happens. Stories from the trenches. I have so many things. So I have, and I'm trying to remember some of them as I'm looking, because I had meant to do this last week. So firmware issue after a Microsoft update. This has been terrible. And the answer on one of the firmware updates was just holding the power button in, having the client hold the power button in. And then another one, we had to go through the Dell, go back to the last BIOS, because it would, when it's trying to do the firmware update, it would lock up. And this is a fairly new Dell. And this is the second time we've seen this. So this is a problem, which brings another thing that's happening tonight that I don't even have notes for this. My son, with one of our clients that has like 40 systems, this is our biggest client. Well, they're stuck at an older, I think it's 22H2, and we got to get to 25H2, and we're going to use, he's remoting in tonight, and he's going to deploy the group policy change, where you change the group policy and then force Windows 11 25H2, because we want it to appear naturally in the update. Yes, we could do the Windows Update Assistant. Yes, we could do the ISO and just leave, and do an in-place update. But for it to appear naturally and go through that, we just feel more comfortable. And let's keep our fingers crossed we're doing that. And he's also doing some updates for one of the departments where we manually do the updates for them. As a matter of fact, I have a couple of them on Saturday where it's the Saturday after Patch Tuesday. I have everything paused to do some updates under my control, manually do them remotely. This was a strange one. OneDrive read only. And this was a new client who called, and they were referred by another client, and we remoted in, and it was OneDrive. All of a sudden, after another Microsoft update, everything was read-only. Permissions were fine. They were signed into the right account. Must have tried 10 different things from the web recommending. The only fix, wait until you hear this, we had to change and create a new profile on the desktop, logged in as the user with the right Microsoft account, OneDrive, load it fine. And remember, we exited OneDrive, we unlinked it and relinked it. None of this fixed it on the current profile the user had. So once we got everything reset up on that profile, user was fine. That is a last resort, and we tried everything, because that's not what we wanted to do. We wanted to really fix this, and I was hoping to be able to come back with a solution. If you have run into this and have done something that's extraordinarily different, or just, hey, this worked for changing where the status for everything on OneDrive was read only, would love to hear from you. MikeTechShow@gmail.com. This is interesting, and I ran into this week, and it's Outlook multiple sessions starting automatically. So you would click the Outlook Classic icon, And I watched this. Even after a reboot, I've remoted in and clicked it and watched 9 sessions of Outlook load just continuously and couldn't stop it. Tried safe mode, same problem. So now we know it's not an add-in affecting it. So doing some searching, I found a switch that I never tried before and never used until this week, and it fixed the problem. You run outlook.exe /recycle. Yes, /recycle. And Outlook launched with just 1 session. I was like, ooh, cool. And by the way, I did check startup to make sure nothing was in there. And just in case there was an infection, I did run multiple, checks to make sure there was nothing happening. And just very interesting. Never tried that. Don't know if anybody's ever heard that, but I figured let me share that. That's some pretty good news. Here we go. A microphone problem with a client that has some heavy-duty workstations, but only a couple of the users have these Dell Xeon workstations running Windows 11 Pro for workstations. So it's a slightly different version. Anytime that they have a Teams or Zoom call only on those computers, the sound keeps cutting out. The microphone. And they've tried all the settings for the microphones, found a problem with the Dell, the C state, having to disable the C state in the BIOS for these powerful workstations because there's a known problem with the microphone and the audio piece for these workstations. So we tried that, but I've had 1 success, 1 failure so far. I've gotten feedback. So I'm going to be on site. I couldn't go on site this week. I am going to do my best trying to be on site on Tuesday, and I'm going to go back and I'm going to take a look at that. I also have a migration for the Data Color Spectro benchtop spectrophotometer. I have to do a migration to another system. And if you ever look and take a look at the company Data Color, they specify on exactly matching the perfect color. So this is a manufacturer, and they have different items that they make, and some of them are certain colors, and some of them are like sent out to another place for the color. The color has to be so precise that this company manufactures high-end devices and some inexpensive ones that you can test and match and know you're getting the perfect color. So that's another project that I have going on. Performed a Synology relocation for a client where they were closing down their office and moving for really a work from home situation. So I had a static IP address and wasn't sure the IP scheme they were getting at home. So I knew the IP scheme from their office, so I remoted in and set the Synology to DHCP. Then I said, take the Synology home, and when you get home, I'll remote in via Quick Connect, see what IP address it is, see if the scheme, and then see if the same IP address is available. And it was, and that was perfect. And so I was able to just change that and was able to get that working. So that was easier than I I thought. Um, let's see. Apple, in their infinite wisdom for tech support for one of my clients with their iMac, they killed email on the legacy Outlook, which was the latest version of Outlook 365, on a Mac. And the problem is the searching function stops working after sometimes a month, sometimes a few weeks. And I have a procedure down, and the user, it's an annoyance. So I said, I don't know the long-term fix. I know how to re-kick off indexing, where you have to go to Spotlight, and then you got to go to the advanced section in the settings, and you have to add the hard drive for the whole system, hit done. Then you open that up again, and you hit the minus, and you remove the hard drive, and that kicks off indexing. So she doesn't want to do that. Called Apple. Apple literally ruined the account settings within Outlook, and she couldn't even get her mail, which wasn't the problem from before. So they parted, and after a few hours, and she said, Mike, you got to fix my email. So I remoted in and was able to get all of her email. But you got to be careful. And it's hard when a user, they don't know what the tech support's doing, and that, are they making things worse? And, you hope you get a good person. Here, they didn't get a good person for Apple support. And I made sure she really was talking to Apple support. So it wasn't, a phony phishing scam for calling. What else? So much. Crazy busy, and things are stacking up. Like right now, if it's not important, I'm putting it off until next week, hoping that I'm just going to feel better and not have issues, because a lot of you don't realize, when my wife appeared on show 1000 for me, that was extraordinary because she was in the hospital earlier in the week. So I have been battling so many things. I'm battling a tremendous house problem here also, where I got contractors and insurance companies. What the amount of pressure and stress that I got going on, you cannot believe. And then try to keep my business running. And I've actually had to step away from a couple projects because I don't have the bandwidth with everything that's coming at me. So, and then to fall on top of everything and be in pain, this is not good. So I am, the consulting gods are definitely testing me right now. So I'm hoping that I'm just sucking it up and bearing through it, and let's hope for the best. My son had to go on site for Wi-Fi testing for a client that has a very big house, and he's got multiple access points that are meshed. And this is the Asus mesh we got going. And there was an issue, and you're going to love what the solution was. He found when someone must have accidentally set one of the devices to the factory defaults, which it became a router. Within the mesh of the network, they now have a router giving out totally different IP addresses to anybody that connected to that. So once he programmed that back into the mix, everything was fine. But they were going nuts, and then called, and then we scheduled on site. Big project working with an electrician that is a new partner and wiring company. They have a big restaurant that they're moving their office and everything from a second floor And that's where all the POS terminates, the cameras, the VoIP, moving it to the third floor. So they needed an IT person, and I actually went out there. When did I go out there? Went out there before I fell. So that was a great, walkthrough. But my son's now dealing with the schedule for things that's, being moved on site. Luckily, we got a really good electrician who knows what he's doing and running the right lines and getting the timing, because they've remodeled the third floor because the second floor is going to be like a banquet floor, So anyway, we got that project. Besides multiple systems behind me, I have a Synology, which is set up. I have a laptop, and we still have a desktop arriving tomorrow for a client. And there's another desktop still in the box. We've got to get that out. That's another problem that's delaying me. I can't lift anything. So even within the house, when I bend to try to lift something, it hurts. So I have to wait till my son's on site, or, asking my wife to help, with moving something. And I don't want to do that. So anyway, it adds a lot of challenges, what I'm going through. So I'm just crossing my fingers, hoping that this is all going to, land and everything's going to be fine. So I will keep you updated. And that's one of the reasons, I do this. So, years from now, with my kids or my grandkids, they hear this, they're like, yeah, hey, I remember dad, when he fell and he was having problems. So, and how it impacted the business. So, all right. Listener email. And let's take a look at, I got a bunch of emails here. So this is from Larry. And I was going to play some of this YouTube, but I'm not. I'm just going to link it. So in the show notes, the first link for tonight is a short video, I think it's like 9 minutes, that shows you how to use AI to see if you have any malicious processes running on your machine. And this is Larry from Ohio. Larry, thank you. Always like having that. This is from Steven. And what I want to do is read this. This is something that's older. It's not impacting him now. But it's something to file away, because I've run into this. It's something that he suggests filing away just in case, if you need that. But one day, may not need it. In February 2026, he goes on, I started noticing that my Windows search results in the Outlook Classic desktop app using a PST for POP3 on Windows 11 seem to be incomplete. I did my normal shutdown Outlook, repaired a PST using Scan PST, rebuilding the index. That's what I would always go through first, and then restarting Outlook. But this did not solve any issue. After paying more attention to the search results, I noticed that Windows Search was searching the subject and email addresses only, not the body of the message, for anything after November 2025. I then spoke with one of my coworkers who was having the same issue. I then researched further, and despite trying every suggestion that I found, nothing helped. This was not an uncommon issue and would happen to users sporadically due to Office updates. So by the way, just to interject, when searching stopped happening, I noticed that it also on the web would not work for SureWeb hosted Exchange users. So that was clearly a SureWeb problem, and I would have to open up a ticket And they did something. Nobody ever told me what they did, but they would do something in the background and it eventually fixed it. Took a day or so and then it would get fixed. I don't like that. I always like to know what's going on, but as long as it was fixed. Anyway, let me continue. So he then researched further, and despite trying every suggestion, so he decided to make Outlook Classic use its slow Outlook search rather than the much faster and indexed Windows search. And he did this in May, and he's got 9 steps for a registry change. And I am going to have the link. This is link number 2 in the show notes. And this is one of those ones, you may not need it, but you take it, you store it away just in case. And he continues, today, in late July 2026, I undid the registry change, changed the prevent indexing Outlook value to 0, allowed the index to rebuild itself, and as of now, the Windows search is working in that it is searching the body of the message. I have a feeling that the July Mega Patch Tuesday that caused so much grief might have actually fixed the issue. I appreciate everything you do. Thank you, Steven. Steven, thank you so much for that info. I really appreciate it. Okay, this is from John, and this is John Downey. Regarding the email about the salesman, oh yes, and the IT department sitting around. Although I'm not an IT professional, I've worked with IT teams for several decades as an engineer, and the professionals I've worked with have consistently been excellent. When issues arise, the IT staff have always responded quickly and effectively. John, thank you, and that's great. And I have to wait to hear back from the user that had that, comment made, and I gave them a bunch of, gave them some things to try. So we still have to hear back on that. Okay, this is from Mike Wise. I know you've been looking for an Evernote replacement for years, and the latest pricing change may finally be the last straw. I received notice that my Evernote personal plan is being retired and will automatically move to advanced. That's a price change from about $130 a year to $250 a year. Yeah, that's just greed. I spent some time working through this with ChatGPT. We first looked at the new $99 per year starter plan, but it only allows 1,000 notes and 20 notebooks. I have too many notes and notebooks, so that's not really a replacement for my current personal plan. That led us to alternatives, with 3 things being especially important to me: affordability, security, and a clean migration. Joplin stood out because Evernote can export notebooks to a format called NX, and Joplin has a native NX importer that preserves the notebook structure, notes, tags, attachments, dates, etc. I tested an export-import, and so far it looks very good. Then I started looking at security. Joplin supports end-to-end encryption, which I really like, but Joplin Cloud is hosted in France. That isn't necessarily a security problem, but as an MSP who works with tax and accounting firms, introducing a cloud provider outside the U.S. raises some compliance questions. Oh, I completely understand that. He continues, ChatGPT then pointed out something I didn't know. You don't have to use Joplin Cloud at all. The free Joplin application can use OneDrive as its sync target, while Joplin provides the end-to-end encryption. That sounded perfect. However, the OneDrive integration asks for permission that allows Joplin to access the entire OneDrive account, not just its own Joplin data. I wasn't comfortable granting that access to my primary OneDrive. So I created a separate free Microsoft personal account specifically for Joplin. That OneDrive will contain nothing else. Joplin encrypts the data before syncing it there, and the account exists solely as Joplin's sync target. I'm still testing before moving all my notes and notebooks or canceling Evernote, but so far, this is the first Evernote alternative I've tried that checks a surprising number of boxes. Thought you might find this interesting given your ongoing Evernote replacement search. Best, Mike. Mike, thank you so much for that detailed explanation. I want to know what you finally decide, and were you able to throw the switch and completely do this? So that is something I am going to take a look at. So thank you very, very much. We are at the point for the John Dubinsky tip of the week. Hey, Mike, I hope this email finds you well. Back in the day, when I ran my MSP and was working with customers, this is a site I would visit often. This site contains a magnificently huge collection of file format apps for viewing, editing, conversion, comparison, parsing, compressing, merging, splitting, watermarking, signing, annotating, searching, protecting, and unlocking Microsoft Word documents, Excel spreadsheets, PowerPoint presentations, Outlook emails and archives, Visio diagrams, project files, OneNote documents, and Adobe Acrobat PDF documents. The company is Aspose. So it's literally go to https products.aspose, aspose.app. This will be the third item in the show notes for tonight. So I got 3 good notes, and I was going to go online and demonstrate it. I even got the links already, and I just can't do it. So rather than me just demonstrate something, you can go do it. Check it out. Go to MikeTechShow.com. That flips you to MikeNation.net. The latest show notes, they're all going to be listed there, so you don't have to worry, and you can put them away. These are 3 good links for tonight. I think that's worthy. And then hopefully some of the tips and the stories helped you out tonight. Email me suggestions, tips, feedback, anything that you can. MikeTechShow@gmail.com. That is it for tonight and for show 1001. So, God willing, next week there'll be I'll be online if everything goes well with show 1002, and then the following week I will be broadcasting back from Florida, and it'll be Saturday, because that week hopefully my tailbone will be able to sit in a car traveling down to Florida. That is going to be a real challenge. So luckily I have my wife with me, and I probably won't be able to do the amount of hours that I could normally do driving on the trip, but I will be back in Florida, and then my journey continues down there with lots of things happening. So I already know of work down there that I'm going to try to do remotely next week for some clients. So life goes on no matter what happens to you. Keep that in mind. Have something in place that, what if you can't do something? What if I can't sit at a computer for hours? What can I do? Can I make my bed comfortable to where my laptop? I haven't done that yet, and I may try that. So this way I could at least, keep working. So tonight's show I knew would be a challenge, getting back on the horse, and so far so good. But it's only a limited time, sitting. That's it for tonight's show. If anything helped you, hey, if you find it in your heart to make a donation, really appreciate it. Please subscribe to the YouTube podcast over on YouTube. It's Michael Smith MTS. And that's it. I'll see you next week. Same time, same channel. Bye-bye, everybody.